Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the daily podcast in which we get right to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, one wheezing child at a time. I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Tom Taylor. I'm Gerald Christopher. Marcus Porter.
And today we're joined once again by our very own Dr. Christy Porter. Welcome back,
Hi,
Professor.
Everybody. Oh, thank
Hey,
you.
Christy.
Hi.
We're making fun of an emaciated kid.
That's horrible.
We're all going to hell.
That's horrible.
Well, we are talking today about minute 27, and minute 27 begins with Indy continuing his UN-level translation of the shaman story and ends with an emaciated child staggering towards Indy.
We talked a few days ago about how we haven't heard yet. We've gotten a big long speech and a story from the shaman about this missing rock and the darkness that's come over the village and a new Maharaja. And then, after 10 or 15 minutes of this, probably in movie time, he mentions, oh yeah, and all our children have been stolen. I kind of understand why they've waited all this time to reveal the children thing, because that's the big news to us, the audience. If he had started with that, then this moment here, zooming up to Indy's face would be and we also lost a rock. They took one of our rocks. Could you please save our village and go get our rock?
But it was a really, really important rock.
Oh, and it had 3 lines on it. You got to see it. It's beautiful. It's this amazing rock. And I want to know, I'm trying to think in my head, is there a way that they could have made this less kind of awkward, less please just get our rock, and I'll, if you see some kids that look like they belong here, grab them too. I don't know if it's, I guess this is my question. Does the shaman think that by Indy going, he's only talked about him going to the palace to get the stone back. He doesn't even say, go get our kids back. He says, go get the stone back. Does he think that along with refilling the wells and bringing the animals back to life, that the kids will just show up again when Indy brings the stone back? Is it it's all wrapped up in the same thing to him? Or is it, I'll say this, is it just sort of clunky screenwriting? Because we have to put that possibility on the table.
Screenwriting that's staggering over some rocks?
Yeah, kind of wheezing, kind of malnourished, kind of.
So that's a good question, Tom. But let me ask you: did anybody notice until this point that there were no kids in the village? Because I didn't notice.
There was that. I guess not. I mean, there's that one old woman who kind of approaches Shorty, and but you don't really get that it's kind of a hint, but you don't really get that actually.
I just figured it was a retirement community.
55 and better.
Yeah.
It's like the leisure world of northern India.
Yeah.
Well, but I get what you're saying, Tom. I don't know how they would have put that in there, but I'm wondering if maybe the shaman, he's appealing to Indy's, avaricious nature. And he's, maybe he's I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. This guy, this guy's not going to care about kids.
Yeah. You lit up like a Sankara stone as soon as you heard about gold and stuff. You're not going to care about any kids. You got one already.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Although I have to say that Indy's reaction here is by far the most tender and caring I think Indy sounds in this entire set of movies.
Yeah.
When he says
100%.
children.
Yeah.
He says they stole their children. And when he asks, he's like, Lamai? That doesn't sound like Indiana Jones at all.
Yeah, he's going to cry.
No,
Yeah.
in fact, it sounds a lot more like Han Solo. Now I was thinking about this. Yeah, I do. I do know that.
Yeah,
So
please
it struck me
continue.
too. It struck me too that he gets all verklempt here. He gets all choked up and so
Yeah.
forth.
Just like Han Solo.
Just like Han Solo would. It did make me pause, and it did make me kind of think about that. But I'm not there yet because we're not at the part where the kid starts. So we're at the beginning of the minute where the kid shows up. So we're at the beginning of the minute, and Tom wants to know why he doesn't mention it. And you really think that? Do you really think that they're appealing to his money grubbing mitts?
Well, it's weird because it almost the way the shaman presents everything. It's all about the stone to him, and he's like the stone being gone made the animals die, made the wells dry up, and everything, and all the kids are gone. So is he thinking that if Indy goes to the palace and gets the stone and brings it back, that'll bring the water back, it'll bring the animals back, and it'll bring the kids back? Just sort of,
Yeah, you're right. He should have mentioned. Maybe it's like this.
Like they know that people, they phrase it like they stole the children. They know that people came to the village and stole the children. It wasn't like a magical thing, that
right.
Like, I don't know if they think that that's tied to the rock or not. And it's all, I'm having a hard time.
But if he's appealing to Indy's avaricious nature, they'd never see the stone again anyway. Like we've got this really valuable stone with a diamond in it.
Well, maybe they had a plan,
Exactly.
like a plan B. But I mean, check this out. Maybe it's like the old adage, if you're a hammer, the whole world's a nail.
Right.
And I'm wondering if the shaman is just, that's all he sees. He's like, not the sacred stones.
Everything went very, 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 very poorly when the stone went away and when the evil spread from the palace. Remember, he puts his hand over his eyeballs, to show just how evil it is. And
It's dark.
sure,
Couldn't
It
see
is about
because his
the
hand was
stone.
over his eye.
right. And by the way, I won't have you minimizing this stone by calling it a rock.
I called it a rock. I actually noticed that. I'm sorry.
You know perfectly well
apologize.
it's a stone. Stones are a lot more precious.
Well, and maybe, do we think that the shaman is celibate? Like that's what I'm getting at. I mean, maybe
Have
like
you seen that guy?
Oh my word.
maybe he doesn't have kids, and so he's
Not
just
anymore.
he's just shooting. I'm trying to finish this.
I'm sorry.
He's just shooting from what's most important to him.
Yeah.
Hell, maybe he's greedy. Maybe he just wants his damn altar put back together.
Yeah.
No.
So, you have a good point, though. There isn't. I don't know how they would have introduced that. Like, maybe they could have said, "Hey, all our children were stolen, and they had these. They had this rock in one of their pockets. Please bring them all back."
Yeah.
And we'll have a rock.
I mean, maybe if it was even if Indy or Willie or somebody said like, "Hey, are there no kids?" Like, there's like almost in the background, just like pointing out that, "Oh, where are all the kids?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And then minutes later say,
That
"Oh,
would've
they were
worked for me.
stolen."
Yeah, that would have worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Sort of
Well,
playing
and
that a
you
little
know
bit.
that something's funky because the one woman, like, very specifically comes up to Shorty and grabs him, and
Yeah.
and says, "So you immediately notice that that you immediately
Although
notice that."
people grab kids all the time. They do, and maybe she was just being welcoming. But I see what you're saying, I mean,
It didn't seem welcoming at the time.
Yeah, you gotta try that. Listen, we have bingo at 7:30. You're gonna love it here.
Yeah, but it's like despair bingo, and like she's like, "Come over to the rec center."
well, it seems to me they could have mentioned it before they left the shaman's hut. That would have been the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of letting him walk around and tour the village, so forth,
Yeah.
and then
It's not that much to
mentioning
see.
the stone.
And
No, everything's
I
gone.
did again go to the font of all answers, 7-Eleven, to just
Beautiful.
double check.
Now, be
The
honest.
word
Be totally
hi-
honest. Do you put on an Indiana Jones hat when you go over to 7-Eleven?
I do not. I very
Oh.
respectfully requested. I know the guys in my local 7-Eleven, and I knew that they were Sri Lankan. And I asked if they had spoke Sinhalese, and the guy beamed and said, "Why, yes." and he was thrilled to
Probably
lend
the
his
fourth
sources.
person who had asked him that day.
Yeah, right after,
Have you seen Temple of Doom? Jesus.
oh my God, do you guys sell kombucha? But no, he actually did say, and I don't know how you knew this, Pete. I mean, you must live near 7-Eleven too. He did actually say, the children. That's what Indy, like he says, the children went missing. And Indy turns around and he says, the children? And everybody's like, the children. And then the one woman says, it's true, sir.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because she kind of jumps in the
Yeah, I
the
wondered about her.
combo a minute and goes, it's true, sir.
Is she the same one, the one who came up to Shorty and she's got like her hands to her face in this scene? She's sort of like standing sort of beneath the shaman. You know what I'm
She
talking
might
about?
be. Yeah, she might be actually.
Because and
Yeah.
then she was also in the background in the hut, right? Like she was kind of standing behind watching
Yeah.
everybody eat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's the shaman's wife.
Oh, maybe.
Right. Yeah,
I know.
boy, is
You
he
know.
gonna hear about?
Yeah,
leaving
she's the
that
background.
out.
You didn't mention this again.
The
Come on,
kids.
Tony. Like, yeah.
She's been like hitting him in the ribs the whole time. The kids. Mention the kids, dummy.
You never wanted him.
Well, I actually like that she gets lines. I think that is great
Yeah.
that she
Yeah.
gets lines and so forth, even though there aren't. Yeah, he's pretty shook up. So Indiana Jones is pretty shook up that the kids are gone. He's less shook up about the stone. That's true.
Ironically,
For now.
Well, no, he's taking it pretty seriously.
but yeah,
Right?
he's invested. This is the minute where he becomes invested in this Temple of Doom.
Uh-huh.
Is it? Because he does well. He seems upset here
Gosh, I was
about the
buying it
kids.
till Tom said,
I'll
"Is
give you
it?"
that, but it seems like in a couple of minutes is where he's like, "Oh, I got to get me to Pankot Palace pronto."
At least that's the way minute 27 is shot. With
Okay.
the close-up
That's fair.
and the
Yeah.
You even said he had a very read you bedtime serious voice, and we did say there's no egregious Willie interjections.
That's true.
No, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because one would think. So if we're thinking about how the women play into, I don't know, the last couple of minutes. So we've got one who's grabbing Shorty, and we've got the shaman's wife, if that's the same one, and she's got some lines, and she says, she corroborates the story. It's true, sir. And if the directors were really going for some stereotypical nonsense, it would have been Willie who would have gotten she would have been the one to note that there were no kids, to get upset about the fact that there was no kids, and the person to whom the kids would have first appeared. But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
I think what's going on here, thank you, is because in 1983 we've got a new age sensitive guy here on our hands. I think we're painting Indiana Jones as a very human guy.
He does. He's sort of a dad in this movie. He's got a kid with him, and we've
That's
gotten
right.
little moments of like sort of fatherliness with the two of them. And
Yeah.
I think, but I think you're right. I think. I mean, he's also the hero of the movie, and you might be right about like the early '80s and kind of new, kind of sensitive man thing. But also, like Willie is not. I feel like that would have seemed kind of out of character if she was like, "Oh no, the kids! Like, where are the kid? My womanly maternal instincts are kicking." Like, I don't think she has those right now. I don't think she has any maternal instincts. I think she's
Well, she was pretty serious in the hut talking to the shaman, right?
She was. I mean,
she
she's.
wasn't
But I'm
talking.
saying
I
she
mean,
doesn't.
there's
much.
I
She
don't think
doesn't-
she's. I don't think she's like jonesing for kids. I don't think she's. She's not in a nesting way
Is
at
he?
all.
Well, yeah, there are a couple of sort of like,
She's not in a nesting way. I understand. Okay.
but Jerry,
But Jones is certainly in a nesting
Yeah.
way.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
well, and Jerry's talked about there have been some very paternal moments between Indy and Short Round, and there's been absolutely nothing maternal between Willie and Short Round. Like there have even been some moments
Yeah.
where it might have been a good
Nope.
thing for her to be like put her arm around him and be like, "Oh, it's okay, kid."
There was even a moment. I don't think we talked about it when they're first walking from the from the river to the where they're first walking to the village, and they pass the shaman. He does the point and the ah! And you see Willie, like Shorty is like reaching for her, like I think it's like to like trying to help her along. They're walking on these rocks and stuff, and she kind of shakes him off. She's like, get off me. And so like even he might even be making like an effort, and she's like, get off me. Like she has zero interest in this kid.
Yeah,
and maybe any kids.
Yeah.
I had a question about, there's smoke rolling through the village this whole time. Is that the embers from the fire in the field?
So like it just happened like
Yeah.
a couple hours before?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm wondering. Like, is that from the fire in the field that they just told the story about? Like, how long has the stone been gone, and how long have these kids been missing? I know the shaman doesn't care, but are we talking a week? Are we like how long does it? I mean, naturally, your cattle turns to dust. You're like, well, everything turns to dust, shaman.
Yeah, right.
But you're talking like, did they turn to dust in an hour and a half? Did they, how long has it been?
I was kind of wondering why they had to turn to dust. Why didn't they just die? That would have been plenty for me. But they didn't. They actually turned
Maybe the
to
shaman
dust.
has
So
never seen an animal die before and like decompose over the course of months or something.
Well, I think it lended a seriousness. And,
Yeah.
These are otherworldly stones.
well, they have time enough to pray, right? Didn't they pray to Shiva, and Shiva knocked the plane out of the sky?
Yeah.
So
Good point.
So I would say 1 or 2 seasons.
Wow.
That's a long time.
Before
Wow.
the harvest?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Harvest, exactly.
Does this count for the dream
Precisely.
page?
Well, so there's just
No.
sort of a perpetual smoldering.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's doom smolder. That's
Yeah.
despair smoke.
No, those are cooking fires.
Or that. Or it
They're
could be
not
cooking.
cooking anything.
Yeah, what are they cooking?
There's only one green banana leaf left in the whole village.
And those are best served raw.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's laundry. Maybe they're doing laundry.
Thanks for getting my back, Tommy.
Us and our banana leaves. So a kid comes over the hill at nighttime. And
Yeah,
he's all
and-
skinny and wheezy.
And we get
Wheezy! Sorry.
And actually, there's more smoke rolling across the sky
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
when it comes over.
And we get that incredible the shaman's bird call.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
notice that.
that's like
Yeah.
a vulture waiting.
Yeah,
to
it's
eat
like a
him.
vulture going. "Caw, caw."
Delicious.
But that
And there's like a chain gang noise too.
Oh, really?
There's like literally. I'm telling you, every time, Tommy, you got to listen with headphones.
I'm barely watching with my eyeballs.
No, when the kid, falls over the hill,
Yeah.
there's like this clinking, this metallic clink.
Oh, does he still have a chain on him?
Well, I looked, and I don't think he does, but I think it's kind of atmospheric, ambient chain gang clinking, foreshadowing.
Huh.
It's Jacob Marley.
Yeah, but it was
No.
even more sinister than that.
Okay.
Like maybe
That would
if
be
he
sinister.
stole like a village of kids and chained them up.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear the clinking, Jer, but I thought it was a pretty effective kid. Kid, rolls over these rocks, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, that kid's in some sorry shape.
Yeah,
He's got some scars on his back and stuff.
Yeah.
You can just make that out.
But the shaman bird call is what got me going. Because I started thinking about this. Like, as soon as you see the kid, you hear kind of the shaman's trademark bird cry. And so I started thinking, is it possible that the shaman's using his magic? Like, he's using his magic to bring this kid back to convince Indy.
Ooh.
And then that got me thinking, I think Indy has been under a magical Shiva shaman spell since he fell out of the airplane. Because if you notice, the beginning of this movie until they fall out of the airplane, Indy is just nasty and mean, and he calls people names.
It's
and
true.
And as soon as they fall out of the plane, he kind of starts being nice to everybody. Like, he's super nice to Short Round. He's even kind of nice to Willie. And there's only one point in the movie like later on, like he'll drink some blood, and I think he temporarily snaps out of the spell and kind of reverts to his true self. But then, fortunately, like Shorty brings him back to the shaman spell, and so like my theory is that this is all a magical spell that Indy is under. That's why he's being so nice,
Wow.
and that's why he understood. Like he all of a sudden he understands everybody's language.
Now, do we need a page on the website for Indy's dream within this movie?
Yeah.
or a page for whatever Pete is smoking. I'd support that page.
We call it Himalayan rock
Wow.
salt. Yeah.
Yeah. I have no problem with everything you just said, Pete.
There you go.
you.
Yeah, I like that, and especially it's right when he fell out of the plane.
Yeah, that's when he
Yeah.
started being nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when Shiva kicked in.
And
Yeah.
everything since then. That's why the shaman didn't really have to mention the kids right away. I mean, the shaman might have been kind of doubting his own power too, and that might be why he brought up the stones.
No, that guy looked real confident. He did.
He did look
totally
confident,
knew what
yeah.
he was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that. Well, we're talking about this. Tommy is not fully on board. Chriser, do you think this is divine intervention here?
I guess I'd have to think about it some more, but I do not really think it's divine intervention.
That makes sense to me.
You'd buy that, huh? Perfectly logical. And I'm not, and I have to think about what Pete said about him being a nice guy. Because why wouldn't I think that Indiana Jones is a nice guy? He is a nice guy, and he was just acting like a jerk in the beginning, because that was actually his untrue self.
So when you think Indy,
Now I'm all beef-
when you think Indy, what pops into your head is
Confuzzled.
children. They took your children, and tears welling up in his eyes. And,
Case closed.
Well, yeah.
Although, if we're going to talk about which part of this movie is a dream, the first part takes place inside a place called Obi-Wan, Club Obi-Wan.
That's right.
which is when he's kind of
Wait a
awake within
minute.
when he's conscious a little bit of it within his dream. He's not under somebody else's power.
Is this like Inception, where like now he's in like the third level of the dream? He's like gone down one.
So the
Okay.
shaman is like Dengar, and he's got him under
Yeah.
some kind of a special spell. And, yeah.
This kid's an Ugnaught. I get it.
Well, I mean, so I'm assuming Indy is going to rescue this city of lost children. And that's what's supposed to, I'm assuming is going to happen. Do we think he's actually qualified to do this?
He's
Well, no, but that's not really the point.
I mean,
got
well,
a go get him attitude.
why
He's
didn't he
got
just
a-
call the authorities?
Yeah.
On his cell phone?
Well, I mean, he's
How
gonna.
is he gonna?
There's a city of lost children somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to. Oh, you know what? I'll do this.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Although we did sort of hypothesize that there was 2/3 of India that was directly controlled by the British, and then the rest was made up of these 16 little kingdoms, and each one had a Raja or a Maharaja. So I think like this is kind of a little independent land within India ruled by this Maharaja. So like he would have been the guy you would turn to for justice. Like he would have been the police in the district. Like the British had indirect control, but they didn't have direct control in these provinces.
So the problem is the local authorities became bad apples.
Yeah, like if the police
Yeah.
take your kids, who do you call?
Right.
You
Also-
call it Indiana Jones.
Apparently, yeah.
yeah, you
pray-
pretty much call.
Pray to Shiva, and then he delivers Indy.
And a white guy shows up, new sheriff in town.
Yep.
I got you.
But also, he's this is part of his ride to Delhi. They're getting them to Delhi, but then first you're going to go to Pankot Palace. He's like, all right, I'll go to Delhi, but first I'll go to Anchorhead and I'll save the kids and I'll get the stone back and everything. And then, although how's that supposed to work? Was he supposed to get the stone and then go back to the village and then go to Delhi and then
Yeah, that's definitely
I
not
don't
on the way to Delhi.
he's getting a bum deal.
Yeah, that's true. He said,
Yeah.
yeah. I
I don't think he has any choice now that he knows that they're kids, and it did take him a while to figure that out. But now, I don't think he has any choice. And I don't know if any of the villagers go with him. Do any of the villagers go with him, or it's just him and Willie and Short Round for some reason?
Some of them accompany them part of the way, and then they get scared.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Scrooge
and
McDuck. Just saying.
well, he gets the chaperones on the way to Pancot Palace get scared by, I guess, sacrifices, or I mean, I guess by being a white man, he's or by not being Hindu, maybe he's immune to the local hocus pocus.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? That actually happens in the beginning of Raiders too.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm
We're
just,
getting ahead.
I just thought of it.
I don't like it.
All right.
Making me anxious. Do we think this kid is too skinny, or is he appropriately skinny?
I don't know. Do you live in Hollywood?
I don't know. See, watching the movie the first time, of course, he is skinny. He's like really skinny, but I don't think he's crazy skinny. I think he's like little weird kid skinny.
So that's why they needed the wheeze to sell it.
Yeah, yeah. And he does. He does a good job of like,
yeah.
I'm on my last legs. I'm almost not going to make it. Yeah.
So maybe they haven't been gone that long. Maybe it has only been like they've been praying for like 4 days or something, like a 3-day weekend.
He had lunch here in the village like yesterday.
I don't know.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich in him.
He's really creepy skinny to me.
He is. I mean, yeah.
He's really creepy skinny to me. I mean,
but it's not like unnaturally skinny. I mean, some kids are just skinny.
I'm going with unnaturally skinny.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going with unnatural. I mean, some of it may be the way they filmed him or something like that, but he's. I don't think he's just going through a weird growth spurt. Like
I think that's what I mean. I think he might be. I mean, whatever. I mean, we don't know.
Maybe he's.
I called his doctor. I saw his last physical. He's got most of his shots. He needs the.
It's just a weird
pox.
growth spurt. He's kind of in that. It's kind of in that awkward stage.
Yeah.
I
was, the year after this, he was like 3 feet taller, and
Yeah. I was totally this kid's exact size when I was that age too, though.
Oh yeah.
Like I was super skinny.
Well, let me ask you:
And
were you
look at you
chained
now.
chained in a cave for 2 seasons?
1 or 2.
So
At the very end of this minute, you see in the background behind Indy is this large building, large for the Mayapur village building, and I'm wondering what do you think that building is? Do you think that's where the chief lives?
I
don't know,
looked
I just
at
assume
that.
it's homes.
I mean, he's outside, and I can't like in Greater Mayapur, I guess. And yeah, you're looking into. I think those are homes. I'm not sure it's a single home.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm
as you suggested, Tommy, maybe that's the rec center.
yeah. It's I mean, I think it's apartments on top and the rec center on the
Yeah,
first
it's a natatorium. Yeah.
you go in and the guys are all wearing like white belts and white shoes, and the women have blue hair. And
Yeah.
That's right.
B5.
I do like though, like we like I mentioned that water wheel before, but it just like they love making those kind of Rube Goldberg kind of contraptions, and I like that they made one here too. Like this is a cool touch to the village.
Yeah. Is it going in this scene? I don't think it is.
I don't think it
actually.
moves. I think it's just sitting there.
Oh, okay. It never does.
Yeah. Well, there's no
'Cause there's
water.
no
I
water.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now I believe. Well, okay. Let's think about that for a second. If Christy and I are right, and we probably are, and there's no magical properties to this rock, then why did? I mean, we know the kids got stolen, but why did the crops die and the animals and everything and the water dry up? Is there like a natural reason for that?
Wait a minute. Did I say that it was a non-magical stone?
Well, no. Oh, I'm sorry. You said that you didn't think Shiva brought.
No, I don't
Indiana
think Shiva
Jones
brought
to this
Indiana
village.
Jones.
Right.
No.
Oh, but do you
you do
think the
it's-
rocks are magical though?
Well,
I'm
sure.
sorry, the stones.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Do you believe in
Next.
Santa Claus?
Oh, I'm not at liberty to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Do you believe in life after love or love after? What was that song? I don't know. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Cher.
I'm editing this one, so I can cut that out. Yeah. Well, maybe that. Well, I don't know.
I don't know why you wouldn't think the rocks are magical.
Well, what do they glow or something?
Well, Jesus!
I haven't seen it yet.
We're watching this movie.
I know.
1 minute at a time. I mean, you know what? I don't know if they really did find the lost ark either, Tommy.
All right. Maybe the rocks are special. The stones. I'm sorry.
Now we're getting somewhere. All right.
What do you think Indy's thinking about as he's just kind of standing here leaning against his post?
Money.
Yeah. 2 tickets to Delhi.
How can he can weasel him out of that shaman?
Yeah, conjure me up some tickets to Delhi, will you, old man?
I'm gonna sweep the bingo tournament.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you pray for him to fall out of that plane?
Yeah.
It is an interesting shot, though. It looks a lot like something right on the John Ford or something. Like, it looks a lot like a Western. Like he's just kind of leaning against the thing. He's got his hat on.
Yeah.
Fire's going in the night.
Yeah.
He's very Western cowboy in this village,
Yeah.
in these village scenes.
Yeah.
We all agree.
Well, I mean, hell, look, half the minute is a kid rambling over the rock on his deathbed. I think we're doing pretty well. We're at 32 minutes.
And then you can see whip marks on the kid too, right? Or like
Yeah. He's
you
got
can
some
see his
scars on
back.
his back.
Yeah.
He's had a tough time.
I will kind
now
of
he's
wonder
home.
how he got back then. I bet
That's a good
Pancake
question,
Palace
actually.
it must be not that far, or maybe he's real familiar with the landscape, or...
Well, they ride for at least a day and then into another day at least
Oh, yeah?
on their way there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess how big would a principality be there, Pete? Like if a Raja would rule over how much, and then the Maharaja rules over how many how muches.
Yeah. Well, they were still they were never huge because there were 600 of them. So I can't imagine that they were, and that was only a third of India. But yeah, I mean, he could at least be far, like a day away or a couple days away by walking.
Well, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I think who knows how much time they blew on Willie and all that nonsense.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
The elephant. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be like 15 minutes up the street, and he's just like, really takes a long time, like with the elephant.
I was calling, didn't you hear me? I was over at Bangkok Palace. You guys didn't come over and help us.
All right. Anybody have anything else for minute 27?
No, that doesn't.
Well,
for me.
no, I'm still trying to figure out this thing that you said about him being a nice guy, and I'm because I don't really like him. I don't really like him in his James Bond, super contrasty outfit in the Club Obi-Wan. I don't like that at all. But this feels like a much more familiar guy.
Well, sure.
Oh, well, Pete said he
The
wasn't.
nice guy or the nice guy
The
or
nice
the
guy
outfit?
is the familiar guy. The nice guy is the familiar guy. Of course, Indiana Jones is a nice guy. I want to know why you don't think he is.
He's a little snarky in Raiders. I mean,
So you think
Yeah.
like
He's still a nice
the
guy.
deleted scene when he shows up at Solid's house, he's like, "Oh, your children." And he's like, it's all winky and hugs the
That would've-
kids.
That would have made a lot
Touch
of
each
sense
of their
in this movie
heads.
now. That's
I
right.
brought a top for that one lonely solid kid, so he had something to play with.
the deleted scene where he grabs the Chachapoyan idol and it says, St. Jude's Hospital needs this. I can sell it.
Okay, fine. Never mind. I guess.
Yeah,
Pete's
Belloc,
right.
maybe in 1,000 years we will have ended childhood hunger and disease.
Yeah, carry all the watches we can find.
Whole lot of cynical over here. I guess I'm done then.
Glad to know there's still innocence and belief in good in this world, Christy.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. We'll see if Shiva appears again and and we'll see what happens. There's a lot to discuss.
And if you would like to discuss some of that with us, Jerry, is there a good place for people to find us?
Oh, absolutely. There's a great place where people can find us. I would go to our Facebook page, the Indiana Jones Minute Listeners Crusade, where you can join the discussion. And we talk about all sorts of stuff, like is Shiva behind this whole charade and plot thing, and all sorts of stuff about Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a ton of stuff. Somebody else, you help me over. I'm falling like a wheezing kid.
You did great, Jerry.
That's
We're all
good.
proud of you.
Yeah, and we'll put up a poll on our Facebook page, and you can chime in. Is Indy under a spell, or is Indy just really a children-loving, kind of super nice guy?
Everybody
let us
loves
know your
kids.
except for Willie.
No.
And after you do that, you can also come back here tomorrow and join us for minute 28 of the Indiana Jones Minute. Jones! Jones!